This is the 40 Days for Life podcast with your host, Sean Carney.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the 40 Days for Life podcast. I'm Sean Carney, the president of 40 Days for Life, and your host for this podcast, which is dedicated to helping you end abortion where you live. Marriage trends. Fewer people are getting married. We will break that down and highlight some positive and negative aspects of that, and also, of course, as we always do, promote the sacred dignity and the joy that is holy matrimony. And joining me on this marriage podcast is somebody who many people are surprised to learn that he is married to a woman, and that he is actually still married to this day, and that is Mr. Steve Carlin.
No comment.
And former Planned Parenthood manager Ramona is here, happily married to wonderful Eugene. How's he doing?
He's great. We actually just celebrated our 19th wedding anniversary. Yeah.
Okay, so big 2-0's coming up. What are you doing?
Soon. Well, I'd like to go to Aruba.
Good choice. Yeah. Wonderful. I support that.
Okay,
Go.
Great. Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
That's the plan.
Is it because you like the song?
No,
the Beach Boys song?
I was being.
That's the I'm like, we can go to Aruba. It's in
Jamaica.
A song.
Yeah. No, because they're the one place that you can go that is outside of the Hurricane Triangle or whatever.
The Bermuda Triangle.
It's the hurricane.
This took a turn that I did not see.
So you can go any time of the year,
Ramona,
and no threats of hurricanes.
How American are we? I'm like, you can go to the Beach Boy place, Aruba, it's in the song. Get that, let's do it. And you're just like, I don't want to get lost in the Bermuda Triangle. Is that even real?
Hurricane Triangle, not the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, hurricane.
Yeah.
What is the hurricane
I don't
triangle?
know. It's like wherever hurricanes are more likely to hit, and Aruba's outside of that.
It's not in the Caribbean, right? It's like
Right.
way out in the middle of the Atlantic.
I'll admit, I don't have a clue where
It's
Aruba
off
is.
the
I just
coast
love
of
the
South
song.
America, like off of what's over there on that side.
Yeah, if you look it up, you will be surprised. You're like, I didn't know there was anything over there. It's just a random island. Just like Hawaii is randomly, except for there's more islands in the Pacific, but Aruba is just kind of like, there's nothing from North America and South America all the way to Europe and Africa. Nope, there's Aruba.
I have a really dumb question that I'm sure the listeners will be like, he's an idiot. What is Aruba? Is Aruba its own country, or is it like Puerto Rico? Like, do we
think
own
they belong
Aruba?
to like Denmark or something like that.
It belongs to Denmark.
I think so.
Okay, I had no idea who owned it. Trump should acquire Aruba. I think that would be great.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Me too. Not like 51st state, but just like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we could do like Jamaica or something like that, but
St. Thomas. What is St. Thomas?
That's the United States.
That's U.S.
Yes, that's U.S.
What is that, in the Virgin Islands?
Yes, somewhere down there. Yeah.
Okay, I think my sister went there for their honeymoon, St. Thomas. Now, y'all have both been to Hawaii, correct?
I have not.
You have not. You went for 40 days.
I went for 40 days.
But you took
we did
Laura.
the 50-state tour. Yeah, because I had to, the only way the schedule worked out was, because everybody, when we were setting out that tour, everyone's kind of joking, like, haha, I'll go to Hawaii. And I was like, look, I've been to Hawaii. I went in high school.
Really?
Yeah. And
With
obviously,
your family?
high school band. Yeah.
Good for you. I'm just going to keep it positive since I already said I'm surprised that you're married. So, yeah.
Band kids are cool. What are you trying to say here?
No, it's cool. I didn't think you were going to say that. So you went with your class. Mm-hmm. That had to be a ton of fun.
It was awesome.
How old were you?
17.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, even then, you probably thought, I can't really appreciate this.
No, I loved every moment of it.
Really?
And when I came back for 40 days, so here's the deal is, everyone's kind of joking, like, haha, I'll go to Hawaii. And I was like, hey, look, obviously let's do what's best for the mission. I would love to do Alaska.
Yeah.
If possible. And you said, well, good news, you're doing them both. So it was Washington State one day, Oregon the next, California the next, Alaska the next, Hawaii the next.
So you flew Anchorage, Honolulu.
I flew Anchorage to Seattle.
They make you go back to Seattle. I was wondering about that. You can't get from Anchorage to Hawaii without...
Almost 10 years ago, so I don't remember.
Yeah.
But what we did was...
They usually send you to SFO, it's in San Francisco,
Sure.
to get to Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii, but typically United will force that.
Okay.
Because SFO is a huge hub.
And I maybe was flying like Delta seems like it's a little bit bigger in the Northwest. I don't know. There were complications, and we got through them all. But what happened was the only day, again, this is the bus tour. I was gone part or all of 33 days over a span of 42 days. And the only day that this Hawaii leg worked was on my wife's birthday.
Oh, cool.
And I thought, oh boy, if I am gone for this much time and I'm in Hawaii on my wife's birthday, I'm going to come home and find all my crap on the porch and there'll be a country song and I'll deserve it. And so I flew from Alaska to Seattle. Laura flew from Madison to Seattle. We met in Seattle. We flew to Honolulu. We gave a talk. We took one day to hang out, and then we flew back home and got back on the road.
So it's kind of a torture trip. Like,
It was actually awesome. I loved it.
okay, it was fun. I mean, it's good because y'all are both together without kids on
Yeah.
the plane rides and all that.
Right.
That's fun. But it wasn't like the week-long,
Correct. That was my high school experience.
That was your high school
Here's the thing is I don't even know why we're on this, and I love it though.
Well, this is part of marriage.
Yeah.
Taking your
there you
wife
go.
to Hawaii.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would be gone on her birthday. Yeah, it was really cool because going back, I was like, was Hawaii as awesome as I remembered, or was it just like, hey, I'm in high school and then I get to go to Hawaii? No, it was as good as I remembered.
I've just been everywhere, so I don't want to go anywhere. Right? You just like, I want to be home, but I want to go to Hawaii. And for us, that's going to be a monumental thing. I don't know. We're entertaining our 25th wedding anniversary, but it's just funny. I want to go to Hawaii. I think it'd be awesome. I've never been. It's supposed to be great. We had a buddy that went to our parish for a long time, and he flew the 767 from Houston to Honolulu. That was his flight. So he was in Hawaii every week and like basically had two parishes. He would go to Mass in Honolulu, and then he'd go to Mass at Annunciation. And he was a big guy. And so I asked him, I said, what is that like? And he said, it's the best. And I was like, oh yeah, because it's Hawaii. That was stupid. He goes, no, Hawaii is awesome. But he said, the flights are the best. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the passengers. I was like, oh, because he's like, everybody's happy. They're all going on vacation. And then he told me how much money United loses on that flight. They lose hundreds of thousands of dollars because everyone is using their miles. It's like the trip that they saved. And I was like, well, that's what I'm going to do. You know, that's their trip that they saved up years to people who were frequent flyers and not. He said it's amazing how many people will like get the credit card, the United credit card, because they're like, we're going to Hawaii in 10 years. And so he said it's funny because the flights make no money. So we just know as the company, it's like one of those things. But he said it's super. Everybody's like in the best mood. You can have delay. Nobody cares. He's like, it's awesome.
Oh, shucks. I'm stuck in Honolulu.
Yeah, it's just.
That's how the flights are to Cancun as well.
Of course.
It's a party on the plane.
It's a party on the plane.
Yeah.
One time, you'll like this.
I'm definitely interested in Ramona's Cancun stories. But keep going.
I'm sorry.
About how I was arrested on the way to the airport.
Whoa! Ramona's leading the party on the plane.
we are changing topics on this podcast.
I'd cancel it. Okay, what happened?
Well,
You were arrested on the way to the airport?
Yes. Well, in my defense, I had
As all criminals say.
I had a traffic violation, a ticket that I did not know had turned into a warrant.
Are you comfortable with us asking the year?
Yeah, it was, let's see, it would have been 2001.
Oh, good. I thought she was going to be like,
Yeah, no,
23.
I was like 24, 25,
Okay.
something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Like 25.
This is a past life.
25
Okay,
years
great.
old. Well, I accidentally ran a stoplight.
And
Like
then you
that
didn't pay the ticket and you blew it off and they pulled you over.
I was a single mom. I didn't have the money to pay the
Don't
ticket.
give your sob story here. Okay, so
But it turned into a warrant without me knowing that it had turned into a warrant. And then I had my husband and I, at the time we were dating, we were headed to his company was doing like I guess every year they did a trip for, their employees to go to Cancun. So I went with him. And on the way to the airport, we stopped, pulled over to clean the windshield of my car because I can't handle all the bugs and stuff.
Yeah,
so I had to, and a cop pulled me over. And I think I was being profiled. But anyway.
this is great. This is great.
So he arrested me because I had a warrant. I had no idea.
He arrested you?
Yes. Put me in the back of the cop car. And all I said was, how long is this going to take? I have a
I
flight
go
to
to
make.
Cancun. This is awesome.
So my husband makes the joke that we were on Con Air because
yeah.
you
were
had to bail me out so that we could.
So
make our
you
flight.
actually they took you to the station. They booked you? Fingerprints, everything.
Probably, I'm
We
sure.
gotta find this mug shot. It's because I'm Hispanic. Yep, it is. So
It was like 3 a.m. because like our flight was
because it was so early.
we
this
had
is
to.
a white cop.
Yes, of course.
Of course it was. Well, he definitely pulled you over because you're Mexican.
I was just at the gas station cleaning my windshield. Like,
He ran your plates.
yeah. What reason did he have to run my plates? I didn't look.
You were a
suspicious.
criminal and a delinquent and you were on the run. I would have convicted you in 2 seconds. This is the best story I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's the one time. It's the one time I ever got into that type of trouble.
So, your husband bailed. What was the bail?
I don't remember.
It'd
Like
be like
over
$500.
like 200.
Yeah.
something maybe at that time.
So did you miss the flight?
We missed that flight, but the woman who was organizing the trip for everybody, the employees, like he let her know, and then
Hey, I don't know how to bring this up. My girlfriend was
my
arrested.
future fiance.
Did you have to wear the ankle bracelet monitor?
No,
No?
no. And then I
Did
met.
this lead to was there like, I have a feeling this was probably followed by day drinking. I can sort of see this story unfolding. Was this the party on the plane? No. I'll solve my problems with this. Where's the Dos Equis?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
And then what was even funnier is that when we were in the holding cell or wherever they put you in, because I wasn't like in jail, I was like in the holding cell.
Right.
To bail me out.
But they
and of
cuffed
course
you.
they took their precious time.
I'd be terrified
booking
if I got
me and
handcuffed.
getting me.
Steve's head would explode. I want to see you get arrested. Yeah,
I was more worried about like missing my flight. I was like, can we hurry this up? Can you book me and get me out?
I'm sorry. This is such a good story. It makes me think of Steve. Just because, what encounters with the law have you had in life?
Usually just the like headlights out. Hey, you're gonna need
Yeah.
to get that fixed.
Yeah. No, I've gotten, I think, 2 traffic tickets. One I've talked about on the podcast, my first date, and the other one on my way here to do a book signing, and I had like 4 of my kids in the car. And it was in Conroe, which is a speed trap, but it's 55, but everybody's going 70. So I was the one guy that got pulled over, but my kids were all freaked out. I'm like, oh, at the time their uncle was a cop. So I was like, oh, this is, But so I've gotten 2 tickets and like that's it. That is it. But if I was like pulled over and they arrested me, even though I knew I was like, it's an unpaid ticket or something, I would be mortified. I don't know.
I didn't have time to be mortified, Sean. I was trying to go on vacation. There was no
And
time
the
to think about
racist
that.
white, this is like Mark Furman pulled you over.
Wow.
There's a blast from the past. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I didn't think that was going to go in that direction.
Yeah. It's a one time. Yeah. It was insane.
But,
But we
okay.
had a good time.
Well, I want you to go to Aruba, and hopefully you can go to Hawaii one day, Steve, again, for longer than 24 hours.
I'll be quick about this, but I think you'll like it. The best party flight I was ever on was I was coming to Houston to, I think, record podcasts with you the Super Bowl weekend. It was the year we watched the Super Bowl with Roberts. And my whole flight was Patriots fans coming to the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's cool.
A lot of fun.
I've never been on a party plane, I guess. Like, I've never been on a plane where everybody's going for something exciting. I was on a plane on my way to Indianapolis to visit 40 Days for Life campaigns, which is like the same as Cancun, of course. And it was the weekend of the NFL Combine. And there were a lot of like NFL coaches on the plane that were
sweet.
recognized. So that was kind of cool. But that's nowhere near getting arrested on the way to Cancun. Mercy, if you got arrested on the way to the airport, what happened to you in Mexico?
Nothing.
You must have ended up in a bunch of
I promise I'm a
cells.
good girl. I promise.
Ooh, the Coke was good, boy. Lots of Kleenexes. Oh my gosh, that was great.
Sean's rethinking his like, who did we employ here?
Come up on the background check. I will speak for the listener and say, there's more to that story.
No, that's it. I promise.
Getting the whole truth. All right.
That is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Well, you got to hand it to Eugene. He still married you.
Yes.
And that brings us full circle to marriage. And do your kids know this story? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So it's a fun thing. That's great.
It's pretty comical.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. And please rate, review, and share this podcast. No, we'll go through with it. Okay. So here is the definition of marriage. We need to start with some of the basics. Okay. According to the world, marriage is defined as the legally or formally recognized union of two people as partners in a relationship, in a personal relationship, historically as a union between a man and a woman.
Is that historical section, Ramona? Is that part of the, is that like an official definition?
Yes.
Or you're, okay.
No.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's interesting, the parentheses, historically as a union between a man and a woman. Back in the Stone Ages, and now you can marry a tree. Okay.
Marry your dog.
Biblically, which is a great word that makes people nervous, marriage is a sacrament, a lifelong covenant between one man and one woman. Marriage is for companionship, procreation, and to prevent sexual immorality. Where's that definition from?
Who knows? It's on the internet somewhere.
Okay, that's good. That's what we want. We want like to prevent sexual immorality. I've never heard marriage as that. That doesn't sound very...
Kind of rooted in Paul, right? Doesn't Paul kind of indicate as a partial remedy for concupiscence?
I guess. I don't
The
think
robots running around?
I don't know. That's like creepy guys. I gotta get married or I'm gonna go crazy.
It's Paul, not me, man.
I don't know if it's Paul. We need to slow down. I know what you're saying. That the man is divided. That it's the cause for celibacy in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, where it's better for a man not to be married if he's going to devote his entire self to the service of Christ than to be married, because he'll be divided about the concerns of his family, rightly so. Paraphrasing, of course, Corinthians 7. But if you look deeper into the definition and purpose of marriage, it helps us get a better understanding of why marriage, once on the decline, is now on the rise. Some positive news. So before we quote Pope Leo the 14th, who's a White Sox fan, we even before we did this podcast, I thought, I don't have any data. It was just a gut feeling that young people are getting married more than the millennials. I got married at 21.
22.
Yeah, so we're all married young. When Ramona got out of prison, she got married, which is great. So meet my lady. She just got out of the can. That's kind of fun. If I were Eugene, I would just I'd take you to as many work events. Once she got out of prison, boy, she's a good cook. So that's so funny.
Did you get a prison tattoo?
No.
Why cops gotta hate. That's the tattoo. Took me a while to think.
With like a skull next to it.
It's like a skull, yeah. Dang cops. Okay.
I had the one on my neck removed.
She had the teardrops.
Oh.
Teardrops, little jelly roll. Okay, so yeah, I mean, but ignoring all of the last 5 minutes, haven't you felt like marriage is like somebody's making marriage great again? I think we know who it is.
It feels a little bit like it's related to the uptick of Gen Z participating in religion.
Yeah, which is we've covered on the podcast recently, actually, and just the senior class of 2024 being super conservative. Not that they're all married, because they just got out of high school, but that the culture has exhausted young people. It makes empty promises that don't fulfill. And they're like, I don't know. I think I do want to settle down and not be 35 and get married and have kids. And we've talked about, all of us on the podcast before, one thing you don't think about in your 20s that I think more people should think about, because it's like, man, why would you have kids in your 20s? And I had 4 by the time I was 30. I had 5 by the time I was 31. And 5 is when people just give up on you. But they don't think about having older kids when you're in your 40s, lower 40s. It's a blast. It's totally fun. And of course, when we were 25 and somebody's like, you're going to have so much fun when you're 42 with your teenagers, I'm like, what are you, nuts? Shut up. We got to make it through this week. I can't think about being 40. But it's very true. And as everybody told us, but nobody believes, it flies by and you'll look up and you'll have older kids. But it's so fun with the older kids. And we're young, you know. And we're going to have, the older kids when we're 55 years old. But it's just one of those things where people don't think about their next 20 years.
And I'm at both ends of the spectrum. So I had my first
Right.
when I was 17. And then when my husband and
How
I
old is that child now?
She's 30.
Okay, so she's just full-blown adult.
She's like my sister at this
That's
point.
great,
No, it's,
yeah.
it's just
Right.
It's a weird relation. It's a great relationship.
Sure.
But it's weird, when you really stop and think about it. It's like we're practically the same age,
Right.
And so she's 30, and then when my husband and I got married, I was 28 when we had our son together.
Okay.
And then so I was older. And then my youngest is now 7, and I was 41. So I was just,
I forgot.
I've experienced both ends of it.
I didn't realize you were 41. I knew you had a 7-year-old, but you just.
Oh no, I'm not 41 anymore.
I know you're not 41,
right.
but you look young.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I think when you had your 7-year-old, it was like, oh, Ramona's like 36 or whatever.
I wish. Yeah.
Well, no.
Only for the energy. You know what I mean? Like you just don't have the energy anymore.
Yeah.
As you did, like you said, it's fun when your kids are older and you're in your 40s and you're not chasing little ones around, because it's just, I don't know how women do it who have children later in life. It's like, where are you pulling your energy from?
Mary Lisa has said that many times. Like, I don't know how women, round out 3 or 4 kids when they're 40 or over. Kudos to them. But when we had Timothy, Mary Lisa, that was the first time she was like, which is good. It took the 8th one, but she's like, I'm not 25 anymore. Like, this is, you can just tell. And I gave her when we found out we were pregnant with Timothy, of course, we were delighted. And she's like, okay, I got to get ready for pregnancy and mentally and all that. So I told her she was like Tom Brady. I was like, everybody says he's finished. You just come back and you keep turning out championships. And when she got pregnant with Timothy, that was when he was going to the Buccaneers. So I was like, this is you got this. And she's like, I appreciate the analogy and I know he's the GOAT, but I was like, it's a perfect analogy. And she's like, I don't know.
She's like, can you go to prison with Ramona?
Mary Lisa testifies against me, but I'm innocent. Sure you are. That cop was profiling. He hates white males. So, yeah, it is. Okay, so here's the homily from Pope Leo on June the 1st. It's the first day of Pride Month. This is so perfect. Marriage is not an ideal, but the measure of true love between a man and a woman, a love that is total, faithful, and fruitful. This love makes you one flesh and enables you, in the image of God, to bestow the gift of life. It's so great. I know the 3 of us are Catholics, but our Protestant friends love this. When somebody with a microphone who has credibility and authority and everybody listens to says the most basic godly teaching on earth, and it's absolutely countercultural. And for us, it's just like saying, we believe in the right to life. It's just not very profound. But this is awesome. Marriage is between a man and a woman, and it's natural to have children, and that's the purpose of it.
Perfect, and a nice clarity.
Well,
Just like Pope Francis.
Well, I love that, that this is June 1st, kickoff of Pride Month. But my anniversary's in June. Your anniversary's in June. June used to be a very popular month for weddings.
It still is, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know
I don't know
when
what the
people get
trend
married.
is on that one,
Yeah.
but
Everybody seems to shift towards
fall.
these
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate those people.
Well, and I
Who can go to a wedding on October 16th? It's right in the middle of 40 Days for Life and football season.
But I just love it because it every time our anniversary comes around, I pause and I reflect. I really do. And I think it's a beautiful time to reflect on not just your own marriage, but marriage in general, and really stop and recognize I'm extremely blessed to be married. I would not want to not be married. I think it's just a beautiful, holy thing. It allows us to die to ourselves. And it's a choice like we make every day. People get all wrapped up in all the feelings of love. And it's like feelings are fleeting.
Yeah.
Right? But marriage is a choice. And so every day just being able to get up and choose to love your spouse. And that's what, when we talk about, and what made me think about this too is one of my sons, I took him to the barber and he's 24 years old and he's getting married in August. And he asked me, he said, "You've been married a long time, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, What's some advice you would give me?" Which I was just like floored. I was like, whoa, wait a second.
You don't want to sit them down and be like, let me tell you.
Yeah, you don't want to give unsolicited advice, although I am known for doing that as well. But I was like, hold up. Hold up. He's asking me for my advice. This is great. And I said, you know what? Actually, I do. I have quite a bit of advice to give you, And so we talked about like his generation and we spoke about just how a lot of young people will get married thinking marriage is disposable. Like if it doesn't work out, we'll just get a divorce and we'll move on, right? Instead of looking at marriage as the sacrament that it is and the covenant and the commitment that it takes, right? And I think part of that obviously is a lot of young people or even, people that have been married for a few years or several years or decades or whatever, they think the grass is going to be greener on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's not that way. And so I think that's the beauty is choosing. And that's what I told him. I was like, you have to choose your spouse every day of your life. There's not going to be, it's not going to always be rainbow and sunshine, right? Like there's going to be difficult times. And there's going to be times too where you're like, I can't stand you sometimes, you know what I mean? But then an hour or so passes and you're like, I'm in love with you.
Yeah.
I love you. I see all the reasons why I fell in love with you to begin with. And it's just choosing those beautiful moments, right? I mean, I'm sure my husband feels that way from time to time with me as well, right? I'm sure he felt that way and questioned marrying me when he bailed me out of jail, right? Like, what am I going to deal with this woman, right?
Minor hiccup.
Yeah, minor hiccup. But yeah, it's that's the beauty of marriage. And I think that's what's wonderful every time our anniversary rolls around. It's like just having that time to just sit with it and think about, wow, this is special, right? Every year that I get to actually celebrate my anniversary with my spouse is really special and it's really profound.
Yeah, I agree, and it takes effort every single day, and some days it doesn't take any effort. Mm-hmm. It's just really easy.
It's really easy. Yeah.
And it's so important to have fun with your spouse, and to want to be around them. Mm-hmm. That to me is what has caused life to fly by. Like every anniversary, I'm like, I can't believe so we just did 21 years. I can't believe we were married 21 years. Like it's flown by. Mm-hmm. And
in a good way.
In a good way, and it is busy and we've been through a lot, right? But it's just been awesome. And I think that the world has said marriage causes you to miss out. And it's the opposite. If you're just, I would say, wasting time, being selfish, wasting just whatever, I want to do this, I want to do that. And you can do that in marriage. There'll be constraints, if you have kids or whatever, money problems, whatever it is. But there's always the reluctance to, quote, settle down. Like settle down is really an acceleration. It's not really settling. It's speeding up. In a good way, and having focus in your life. If you're just sort of scattered around, doing this, doing that, not committed to anybody, not being challenged by anybody, nobody telling you you're an idiot, like there's great consequences for that. You're just grading yourself all the time. You never turn in homework to a teacher. And a spouse is a great accountability partner.
And I hate that term settled down, like you're settling.
I don't know who came up with that.
Yeah, I hate that. It's like I didn't settle with, for choosing my spouse.
Or that you're out of control.
Yeah.
And now that you're married. Like that's the great Brooks and Dunn song. That I saw the light, I've been baptized, and he's like a Rolling Stone. He's out of control. He'd close the honky tonks down. It sounds like he's got 92 STDs.
Doesn't sound like marriage material to me.
Yeah, but he settled down, didn't he?
Well, I guess my husband settled me down, right?
Yeah.
I haven't been in prison since.
You haven't. You're clean. You're out of jail. Just look at you now. That white cop didn't know what he was doing.
I'm no longer at Planned Parenthood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've gone. That's a better jail to escape, actually. Okay, so marriage stats. This is kind of surprising in some ways. All right, this is the United States. In 1920, there were 12 marriages for every 1,000 people per year. Okay, so and it's
That
people.
was a good stat.
People is like a 2-week-old and a 98-year-old. Okay, so that's why it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. So 12 marriages for every 1,000 people per year. During the Great Depression, marriage rates declined sharply, understandably so. Then, in 1946, here come our boomer friends. A year after World War II, marriages peaked at 16.4 marriages per 1,000 people. Okay, so that's right after the war. All right, let's get married, let's have babies. Then the 1950s, there was a decline, and it reached as low as 8.4 per 1,000 people. That's surprising. I think
Very.
the 1950s, we just think, oh, everybody was having 12 kids and getting
That's
married.
a huge decline.
That's a huge decline. It's half. So we went from 16.4 to 8.4. 1946 to the 1950s. Then it rose, marriage rose in the 1960s.
All of our boomer friend listeners are, who's laughing now?
Yeah, buddy, you jerks. You millennials think you're better than us, don't you? Yeah, we do. Okay. So marriages then peaked. This is, what the boomers did before they all got divorced. All these people are getting divorced now. So before that happened, I think that there was like you wanted to be your parents, and your parents were married. The World War II generation was all married. And so this makes sense. The divorce rates are about to take off, so I don't want the boomers to get too cocky here. All right. Marriages then peaked in 1972. That's surprising. Okay. So the ultimate peak, and I don't know if we're going to put this graphic on the screen, but the peak in 1972, then it begins the steady decline, reaching its lowest point in recorded history in 2020. Thank you, rioters and COVID. And COVID was a big, we had a baby a month before, 2 months before COVID hit. But that was a big, like, how could you bring a child into this world?
Also, COVID told you a lot about the marriages you were attending. It was like, whatever, we'll just postpone it till next year. I always thought that was a bad sign. My apologies to any listeners who postponed their weddings in 2020. But like, can you imagine like you're engaged for like a year and a half, your wedding's about to happen. Like, just get married, even if you can't invite people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with you. I think
Okay.
I think I do spiritually, but let's go back to that. This is a good topic.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the listener feedback on this. So you're engaged a year. Let's do practical, right? And you're planning a wedding. And somebody, parents, you, both, have spent a lot of money. So there's deposits, there's catering, the church is available.
The DJ.
The DJ.
Let's talk about the most important part here. The DJ.
The DJ. Then COVID hits and the churches are closed. So where are you supposed to get married?
I mean, they weren't really closed. You could, like, let's say it's June of 2020, because we got married in June, not to each other. It's June of
The
2020.
churches weren't open in New York or California in June of
You
20.
could still get married, though. You just couldn't have people attend.
Who wants that?
I'd rather take it than being single for another year or until Fauci says you can get married.
Until Fauci says you're not single. It doesn't matter. Hey, honey, the wedding was put off. I'm gonna go hang out with some strippers in Vegas.
Engaged-
It doesn't work
Trying
like-
to prevent immoral behavior, Sean.
I know. Apparently, he had some plan.
Your
if it didn't work
fiance
out.
could get arrested. You don't know. You gotta.
She could get locked
I
up.
just here's the deal. Here's my pushback on this. You and I like to monitor creepy trends in the world among Catholics. Okay?
Yes.
Can't speak for other
Facts.
religions, but there's some creepy, weird Catholic things. And one of them that I don't like is like, we don't want all the hoopla for our wedding. We just want a few people there. Okay, that's fine. And all of this is totally cool if these are like financial decisions, right? I'm not saying everybody has to like fly in on a private jet. And of course, there is a problem with the extravagance of weddings while downplaying marriage. I totally get that. But they don't dictate the world. Okay? They don't get to define marriage and define, just because something is abused doesn't mean we should run from it. And marriage is a big deal. And big deals need to be, and of course we're called to do it public, you have to have witnesses. Having a modest wedding, having a big wedding, and disclaimer, we had a big wedding. My father-in-law gave us an awesome wedding. It was 400 people. This is what happens when you marry the only girl in the family. But that's good. I'm not saying extravagant like, wait, we spent $18,000 on the invitations. There's a lot of that nonsense that goes on. But I do think that the wedding itself there's almost an overcorrection where it's like, we don't want it to be a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. Whether you want it to be or not, it is a big deal. And you need to treat it like a big deal. That can mean you have 50 people there. It can mean you have 500, whatever you want. But I do see this trend of like, I'm not canceling my wedding because of a pandemic. I mean, I'm canceling my wedding because of a pandemic. I'm postponing.
Interesting. You and Fauci and Newsom
Fauci
together
would
and cancel the
and
wedding.
I would have Fauci officiate. He would marry us.
We need to find a way to get a poll on the podcast page.
But you're saying like, what about like I'm putting myself in the shoes of these people. Let's say, what if some of their uncles or something are in ICU because of COVID? I think that there's the church part. I'm not getting married on the beach.
Right.
Maybe you're going to do that because you're a pagan. But I'm not doing that.
The churches weren't still closed fully in June. Like, you were able to go. You just couldn't go full capacity. Here's what I'm saying.
No, I blame the churches for this. I'm not saying, but if you're forced into it, you can sort of curse your local
But you also have
bishop.
to take in consideration how many of these people who were, let's say, hypothetically getting married in 2020, how many of them were actually going to get married in a church to begin with?
I don't know that. I don't know that. But I'm okay. Well,
like how many people go into marriage?
But that doesn't help your
life.
argument, because the argument would be, let's say they're just secular people and they don't care about getting married in a church. Well, I definitely understand them postponing it, because they do want the big wedding and this is like, if it's not in a church.
Or the wedding on the beach or something.
Or the wedding on the beach and all that. And now destination weddings are kind of the thing. And
no one could travel, too, if they were a destination wedding.
And not having kids at weddings, which is an odd thing. I don't want to go on that rant. There's some good people that don't allow that, but I don't agree with it. But the whole thing is, I understand. I think it's a BS stat, because 2020 was a weird year, and I think people did adjust their wedding plans because they had to or they wanted to. I don't think it's like accurate to say all of a sudden in 2020 there were 5.1 marriages per 1,000 people, because there was a pandemic going on. A lot of venues weren't available, a lot of churches weren't available, and there was a lot of unknown. There was also a huge loss of employment. I don't. It's kind of like I would get married during the Great Depression, right? Because that could last 10 years. They didn't know any of that. And I know they didn't know a whole lot with COVID, but I understand the people that postponed it. And you're saying I would be single for another year. Let's say you were going to get married on March 25th, okay? And COVID hits, and everything's shut down. In Texas, you could have gotten married like June 5th.
Great. I don't think that the drop is because of March. I think the drop is because of the rest of the year. And I think that
sorry, I'm going to cut you off because I'm interested in your psychosis on this. Who couldn't come to your wedding that you would say, well, we're moving it if they can't come?
I got engaged in February. I got married a year and 4 months later in June. And so if I'm engaged in February of 2019 and we come along, it's like, well, 15 days to stop the spread. I'm glad this will all blow over by June. And then 15 days becomes 30, and suddenly it's May, and the delays are going. We're approaching June 24th when I got married. And now it's like, well, maybe when we have a vaccine, maybe when we stop the spread, maybe when we flatten the curve, maybe when we have herd immunity. I'm like, my parents can come, my siblings can come, my wife's parents and siblings can come. I'm not delaying for a year. I'm getting married in front of 15 people, and we can have a reception when this thing passes.
I see that. I don't
Okay.
have, I'm 50-50 on this. I just think it's an interesting point.
Okay.
And I know, I'm sure we have listeners who got married during COVID or postponed
Yeah.
or got engaged or whatever. So please write in, because I'm very interested to see how you handle this. There's no right answer, I don't think. I think
Okay.
this is where I'm truly like, whatever you feel. But I understand a bride, because you're a dude, so your opinion on weddings doesn't really matter. But a bride who's like raised by their grandma and was going to walk down the aisle, and the grandma can't travel because she's 82 and has an autoimmune thing, and they're just like, she can't try, just move your wedding to July. This will all be over, because we didn't know. I just understand delaying it.
And maybe the bride already said she wasn't renewing her lease, and now you're encouraging them to cohabitate because she doesn't have an alternate arrangement.
Well, you see through my point. I'm just trying to encourage cohabitation.
I'm kind of joking, but here's one of the reasons I'm a hardliner on this
kind of
is
joking.
I looked at all the weddings we were invited to in 2020. The couples that were already living together moved their wedding. The couples that were waiting, they all got
you have
married
a
anyway.
secret. You have a secret. Sean supports immoral behavior stat. Okay, well that's interesting. That's interesting. And
I was actually going to make that argument that yes, that's probably the situation. They were probably already cohabitating.
I guess it's hard for me because I was in college when I got married, and so getting married, the only thing that changed was living with Mary Lisa, which was like obviously a big change. But like, I would have just renewed my lease for 6 months and been like, hey, because I'm going to be in school the next year and a half anyways. It just wouldn't,
Sure.
it wouldn't change a whole lot. But like my sister lived with us when I was in high school because she had to wait like 5 or 6 months to get married and didn't want to rent an apartment for 6 months. And so she lived with us. It was super fun, right? And, people do that. Brides do that a lot. They'll like move home for 3 months because they're finished with college or their internship's over or whatever, and they're getting married in a few months. And I just think that there was a lot of logistical things you could get around it.
But you know what you didn't know then, which is how long it would last. We didn't there was talk we may never go back to normal. Fauci didn't want people shaking hands anymore. Who knows when you're allowed to get married again? I don't know.
I think this conversation reminds me of how I continue somehow to underestimate your hatred for Fauci.
Yeah.
It's really deep down.
As I've said, this is an area where I recognize I'm unhinged.
Here's another thing. Okay, I'm now gonna cut you down. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. All right. We're older. Okay. Let's say we're 60 or whatever. Our family is close. And now that our older kids are older, we can tell, like, they love hanging out together, our teenagers, which, of course, is a blessing and fun, even though they're super loud. But it's fun. And we can just see they're going to be close in adult. No, there's nobody, like, left out. Like, they're going to be friends. So if you're a close family and you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids, and they're all adults and one of them's getting married, and they can't come to the wedding, I gotta say, I'm like 60%. I want my daughter to move it so that the siblings can come.
Sure.
I just think that's a natural, normal thing. Now she can say, no, I got counseling from Steve Carlin. He said if we don't get married, then we're gonna cohabitate and throw our lives away. And I'm like, all right, let's get married then. But I understand like delaying it 3 months or 4 months, not a year. I agree with you on that. That's kind of crazy because now we're just letting something not planned
And all the delayed weddings that I mentioned of like my circle of weddings I was invited to, they all just push back a year.
See, I would not do that, right? But I think that there was a lot going on, and even in my own brain, I can remember thinking Texas is not going to be closed down in June. Like I knew it would last like 2 months, and it lasted 1 for us, thank God. But if everything's closed, that you're totally disregarding that. The churches were closed. You could not get married in April in a church.
Sure.
So that's a big wedding month, and I bet you in a lot of places you couldn't get married in June. I understand delaying it. I wouldn't cast those people off to hell. Do you see what I'm saying? Am I alone on this?
I think
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
Yeah, no,
but
I don't think
I'm
there's right or
actually really interested in what the listeners say because I didn't have that data because we didn't know anybody actually who was engaged or got married.
I catered for a wedding because the actual catering was canceled. So I came in and took a day off of work and cooked.
That's kind of cool, actually.
They did it in all. My friend Dell, who you know, his son got married, and so they did it in the backyard. The neighbors are like, "You guys having a party?" I'm like, "Who wants to know?"
Yeah, we are. Why don't you report us? What'd your daughter do? Delay her wedding so she can sleep with her boyfriend out of wedlock? What?
I'm cooking 100 pounds of ribs just for me. I'm hungry.
I don't have kids. Yeah. I feel bad for all the people, right, that had that. But the stat, going back to this, is the 5.1 marriages per 1,000 people in 2020, I think is...
Well, and it is in the... Where I pulled this info, said it was attributed to
COVID. Yeah.
COVID,
No. I know that. And you're highlighting, like, the peaks in the valleys.
There was a drastic... It's been on a steady
Do you remember... let's look on here. What is 2019? Like, how much credit can we, like, if in 1972 it peaked. So it beat 1946. That's amazing. So
No, it didn't beat it. It just has been on a steady decline.
I see. Okay, steady decline.
And then it
came
back up again after the 50s and 60s in 1972. Then it began to steadily decline again.
World War II ending for sure was just the high point of the United States of like, we defeated Hitler, we defeated the Japanese.
And it's pretty dramatic too. Like,
it's
you look at
super dramatic.
Yeah. And then it plummets.
But we're not even close to pre-World War II numbers when you look at everything. Okay, so since 2022, here we go. No COVID excuses. You better get married today. There has been a small increase in marriages, but it's still at an all-time low. So 46.8% of households are headed by married couples compared to 78.8% in 1949. So 1949 was the highest ever. 79% of households were headed by married couples.
Compared to now 46.8%.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room because it comes up politically. Trump brought it up a lot, but the fatherless homes of primarily Black Americans is just nobody wants to address the problem. Anytime you bring it up, you're a racist, but it's been this horrific thing mainly for about 40 years. And I don't think we have those stats, but this has real consequences because it doesn't mean that there aren't children involved. It means that they just don't have married parents.
Well, I talk about the stats on the second page on the U.S. So the U.S. has the world's highest rate of children living in single-parent households.
Gosh, that is just horrible. It's really horrible.
And something that's an interesting phenomenon here is that marriage just builds wealth. Doesn't mean you become rich, but for whatever reason, like, you don't see that many married people who are poor.
Well, you're not going to cuss your boss out if you've got 3 kids.
Right.
At home. I mean,
and in marriage, it gets men to rise to the occasion. Like, men languish if they don't have some friction and some resistance in their lives. And suddenly you've got mouths to feed, you've got a wife to take care of, you need stability, and that leads you to rise to the occasion, I think, in ways that being single don't. And maybe that's why we see so many people playing video games in like deep into adulthood as like a hours a week type of thing.
Well, of course, you're not talking about yourself, but the that was funny.
You say so.
Maybe I am. I'll smoke you in RBI baseball later. This is where we do need to thank people like the Daily Wire. Everybody at the Daily Wire has been great and very public, really the last 5 years, on shut up, find someone, get married, have kids. You'll be happy. And I say that because they're a major media outlet, and you don't hear people on Fox saying that, right? And it's just one of those like practical kind of bold things of get married young, have kids, get a job, work, and there's so much to fulfill you in that. Okay, so Pew Research found that 1 in 4 40-year-olds have never been married. That's surprising.
Yeah, I was surprised with that number as well.
Another Pew study found that fewer than half of young women want children.
Wow.
Fewer than half. I think you're always good about this, Steve, about the questions. Like I don't know if I believe that, but Pew is pretty reliable, but I don't know how they word that. Like, do you want to have a kid today? Well, no. Do you ever want children?
Well, only 45% of the women aged 18 to 34 that were polled say they want children sometime in the future.
Okay, that's the stat.
versus.
Yeah.
But look at the verses compared to 57% of men
who say they want
be
to be
fathers.
fathers. The feminists screwed up this country so much. The men want a family, and the women don't.
Yeah.
I think there's a loss of sense of vocation, that our lives have a purpose and there's something that we ought to do with them. Now vocation is just like, well, you can do this, you can do that. Maybe you get married and it lasts, maybe you don't. You know, there's this sort of just like, I'm just gonna live for myself without a sense of vocation, I think drives a lot of this, both men and women.
Yeah, so these are all just kind of factors that have contributed to marital decline.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And then the lack of societal support and social media, everybody having fun is single, and all these myths.
Well, there's just so many negative stories on social media, and that's part of the narrative, right?
There's a lot of positive ones too.
But there's not as many. So we have to counteract that. And so part of the negative stories, like I was just recently kind of going into a thread reading, because I like to, see what people are thinking. And there were people who were commenting about living in their 30s, that they're single, no children, and how great their life is. In some of the situations, they have a partner. They may not be married, but they're, traveling and just listing all these wonderful
consumerism.
Exactly.
And here's what we ate.
And the people that were
drank.
countering that were saying, I'm in my 40s and I don't have children and I've never been married, and I can tell you that that's scary to me. Mm-hmm. Like I wish that I had gone back and done things differently. And so like people were actually countering those comments with what's life going to look like for you, later on. And so right now you've supposedly have all this freedom, and then you had some folks saying things like, I thought that's what I wanted until I had my first child.
Right.
And then there's nothing better than, and these are even from fathers saying, there's nothing better than sitting on the couch and watching like Paw Patrol with your little boy and just giggling together. Like that's joy.
Throwing a baseball.
That's joy.
Yeah. No, and just, we've had high school girls go to prom, and like when they get their dress and they put it on to try it on for you, and they come down and like, what do you think? Like, and you're, oh, you look beautiful. Like all that stuff, like nothing replaces that. And we were at a great establishment one time, Whataburger. And this is just sad. So Mary Lisa orders first, and then I'm last, right? Because I'm paying. And so she orders the little kids. Kids walk up, kids walk up, kids walk up. And then I get up there, and the girl, who couldn't have been 17 years old, 18, was like, holy crap, all these are your kids? Boy, it sucks to be you. Mm. And I wasn't like offended or whatever, because it's like a child. But I kind of chuckled, and I was like, it actually doesn't. I said, maybe it looks like that to you because I got a bunch of kids, but it's a lot of fun, and they're good. I mean, we're eating at Whataburger. And she was like, I'm really sorry I said that.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah. And it was, I could have been like mad or walked, whatever. But just that people don't know.
Or you could have even said, yes, it sucks. You know what I mean? Like that's part of the issue too.
Yeah.
Is that we have people who complain about their
wine
marital
mom
life.
culture.
Yes. Exactly.
It's WHIN or is it WINE?
WINE.
Yeah, WINE.
Yeah, and I guess people do that and they complain, but I don't know. That's a people see children as a burden, and at times they can be. It's like hard. It's not this easy life, but it's not even close to not being worth it. It's awesome.
And it comes back to what marriage is, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's supposed to be fruitful and procreative, and not only that, but it's the companionship. It's having someone to share the rest of your life with, and being able to have the order of God your spouse, your children, right? We have it all disordered. And so when we see marriage as something as like, oh, it's just a, contractual thing and we can get rid of it at any time, then of course we lose sight of the fruitfulness of marriage.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you have a society who doesn't honor what marriage really is for the sacrament that it is, then of course its natural process is to look at children like this too. Like, oh, it's such a burden to be married and tied down with all these kids.
I'll go a step further. It's not just what is marriage for, what is life for? This idea that you could just going through life single is a legitimate choice. I get some people don't find the right person or circumstances get in the way, or some people are called to religious life where you are saying, but this idea that you just kind of float through life so that you can watch Netflix and drink margaritas
and be free to travel wherever you want.
Entirely modern phenomenon. It misses what life is for.
Right.
I like margaritas.
I can sip a margarita with my husband.
I've seen Ramona have a margarita.
With my spouse.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's nothing better than sharing
The
a
only
margarita
thing better
with your
than
husband.
wine moms are margarita moms. The tequila moms. Okay.
On Con Air, while you're on Con Air.
Yeah. Wow. That was great. Okay. The economy, I hate this, but it's true. It's definitely part of this. Rising prices on housing, groceries, and childcare. A recent study found that the average cost of childcare increased by 32% since 2019. We can't do a deep dive on this, but I'd be interested. I know a lot of people and a lot of companies have adjusted. Basically, the mom has to work, right? And most of her paycheck goes to childcare. And so they just decide to stay at home and adjust. And what happens is, I know a lot of employers, actually the Trump kids have talked about this, that the home officing or part-time for women they've adjusted so that women can be home with their kids. Because part of it is they want to employ women, and the other part is childcare is so expensive. It's like the other option is they're like, I don't even want to work here, because if I have to come in every day, because I just can't afford it's a wash. I will say, as a father of 8 children, that when you hear a stat that is like, from the day they're born, children cost $852,000 to raise, I don't know where that's all the crazy globalists who think we're overpopulated. By the way, this is why we're underpopulated. We're not getting married and all the stuff we've been talking about. But I don't know where they get these stats. It's to scare you out of having children. Do you have $732,000 to raise your child? No. Well, don't have kids. Okay. That's scary. Plus, if I had $700,000, I think I'd want a house or something really cool, And it's just, I don't know where they get these stats. Babies are actually really cheap, right? I mean, teenagers are more expensive, just the cereal alone. But the whole notion that it costs all this money to feed and clothe kids, they never take into account hand-me-downs. They never take into account, I guess they're rolling in and you got to go to Disney World every year, all this stuff. But I don't know where they get these costs.
Well,
no kid would laugh. There's poor kids.
Exactly,
We were poor.
Exactly.
We didn't fall off my mom didn't have $700,000 per kid. I don't know where they get all this stuff.
Well, my nephew and his girlfriend, they had an unexpected pregnancy, and we gave them this huge, beautiful baby shower, and they had, we did a raffle for the diaper raffle. They had an entire year's worth. They still haven't even gone through all of the diapers that they got at the baby shower and the wipes, and she's about to be a year old.
Yeah.
So for a whole year, they haven't had to purchase any diapers at all.
Right.
And this gets back to what I said before, which is you don't see that many married people who are poor. That goes, it's completely counterintuitive. You're adding mouths to feed, you're adding responsibilities.
But economists always say that. There's always 2 laws. And my buddy who was a stockbroker was like, there's just guarantees. And of course, there are exceptions.
Right.
So don't be crazy. Get a college degree, get married. Don't get a college degree, don't get married. Very little chance of ever having any money. And I know you can be Bill Gates and drop out of school. That's not what we're talking about. But I'm not on board with these people saying college is a waste. These professors are nuts and all this stuff. And it's like, well, don't go to a lunatic college. But like all the people saying that have professional accountants, lawyers, and doctors and engineers. And they didn't build their own friggin' house. An engineer did. And just this whole thing of like, you don't need the anti-intellectual approach is not a good thing because there's some lunatic gender studies professor at a university who's crazy. That doesn't take away the need or the goodness of education.
Or even just a trade, right? Like
even a
school.
trade,
Yeah.
absolutely. One of our friends is like going to electrician school and wants to own his own company, all that. But I think the anti-education thing scares me, especially if I have to go to an ER. I don't want some guy that's like, yeah, man, I read this on the internet. I'm going to open up your chest and work on your heart.
It gets lumped in like an accounting degree and a Southeast Asian studies
Yeah.
degree are the same thing.
Yeah. And we had a great
Gender studies.
We had a great board member, and he was head of industrial engineering at Northwestern, Georgia Tech, and A&M. Okay. And he literally wrote the textbook on physics. He wrote 10 physics textbooks. And I remember, because I didn't take physics. I'm going to have to go to physics in purgatory. The word physics makes me uncomfortable. I'm terrified of all math. I'm terrified of physics. So we're like opposite. We're good friends, and he's on the board. And I remember being at lunch one day, and he said, we were talking about this. And he got out of academia over time because of the lunatics. And he's like, they're ruining it. And he said, but we need universities. And there was like a pause, and he goes, you can teach yourself history. You ain't teaching yourself physics. And I just remember thinking, that is 100% accurate, right? You're just not, unless you're Goodwill Hunting, you're not going to the public library and reading stuff and be like, that makes total sense, you know? And so that is part of it, of getting married helps your income. That's a timeless economic statistic. And getting a degree or some kind of trade.
So it should totally refute the idea that you'll be poor if you have children. The opposite is true.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. The fallout. The U.S. has the world's highest rate of children living in single-parent households, which is 23%. Pew study defined it as children under 18 living with only one adult at home, compared to 3% in China, 4% in Nigeria, and 5% in India.
And I chose those three countries because they were the lowest.
They were the lowest.
Yeah, so that was the opposite.
China.
I think Canada was behind.
China
us.
doesn't have a lot of children, which helps. Nigeria has a ton of children, but they're poor and African. I mean, who cares what they do? And then 5% in India. It's unbelievable. We look down on all these other countries, and we're like, who wants to live in India? I don't. I'm not drinking the water over there. But I mean, they're not raising people in single-parent households.
Right.
They appear to be, as Mother Teresa said, people in India are happier than Americans. I don't know how you refute that. She spent a lot of time in America.
This is where they try to trick us, though. Oh, the dad left, so the mom needs to have an abortion. That's not the solution either.
Yeah. Okay, 2022 data indicates there are approximately 18.3 million children who live without a father in the home. That is 1 in 4 U.S. kids. 1 in 4 U.S. kids don't have a dad in the home. And we wonder about the pornography crisis and the violence and the everything. Fill in the blank.
What I found interesting is I was looking at a different data study on how many countries and where they had the highest rates of cohabitation. So they had a mom and dad in the home, but they were unmarried. And the highest is Costa Rica with 70%.
Why is that?
I have no idea.
That's random.
I think Mexico was next.
That's surprising.
So they have mom and dad in the home, but they're cohabitating. They're not married.
That's
There are
surprising because the Mexican culture supports family and getting married. Mm-hmm. I mean,
But I guess it just kind of goes back to, again, the idea of marriage is on decline there.
That's really
so it's
sad.
not necessarily like we're seeing the data of marriage itself on the decline, right? It's also on the decline everywhere else, except for the differences is that in the U.S., there's single households, like single parents.
That's really surprising
but
because
they have an increase of cohabitating parents.
Well, in my high school, which was highly Hispanic, a lot of the Mexicans I went to school with were married at like 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's surprising when that's tragic. Children from single-parent families are twice as likely to suffer from mental health and behavioral problems. One study reported that 70% of youth in state-operated facilities were from single-parent homes. I don't think that's surprising. It's actually surprising. It's only 70%. Children with an activity-engaged father perform much better in school. Some data shows that they're 33% less likely to repeat a class and 43% more likely to get A's in school. So dad asking how the grades goes a long way. And the kid's asking me, how were your grades in high school? And I'm like, straight A's.
I was a straight A student because I feared what my dad would say if I didn't get straight A's. Like that
why didn't that keep you from getting arrested?
Motivated. Yeah. That was the motivator. And pregnant at 16, right?
Oh. Okay, all right.
There you go, Mr. Postpone your wedding.
I was in prison and pregnant teenager, but by God, I had straight A's.
This is a Morgan Wallen song. Like, pregnant and arrested. Oh, shout out to Morgan Wallen.
A straight A student. Yeah, yes. That would be a great one.
Yeah, I did not get straight A's. That was Mom's job. She was valedictorian. Okay, in a study of 56 school shootings, only 10 of the shooters were raised in a stable home with biological parents.
With both their biological.
Both biological parents. So 10 out of the 56 school shooters. Am I reading that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. 82% grew up in either an unstable family environment or without both biological parents together. Here's a big picture thing as we wrap up. There are no stats that show the goodness of divorce. There are no stats that show the blessings of having one parent. And yet, when we go out and talk about marriage, when we encourage people to get married, we're told that we're crazy. So this is like having sick people walk around and tell the people that are healthy how they're unhealthy. Marriage is awful. It's terrible. Why would you do it? And you're like, the alternative is a disaster, a total disaster, and not because God says it or the Pope says it, but because it actually is statistically and always has been on every measure, every parameter. And it's just amazing the beating that marriage between a man and a woman gets over the last 50 years. When honestly, as we pick on them, but the baby boomers took a baseball bat to the family in this country and spread all their crap throughout Europe and everything else and said, I got to be me, I got to be free. Most of them repented and came back and were accountants and voted for Reagan and all of that. But the divorce rates just skyrocketed, and the fallout and the promiscuity and the single parents all took off. And yet we have to use words like defend marriage, phrases like that, the sacredness of marriage. And it's insane. It's absolutely insane. So, and even the people that, it sucks to be you, or why would you want all those kids? What if Steve says, that's just, I don't know. Laura was nice, but I'm tired of this. I never got to live. I'm done. And he leaves his family, and she raises all the kids as a single parent. And I do the same. Steve and I run off, and we go open a bar, and we're like, finally, boy, the old ball and chain is gone. Let's go have some fun. And our wives raise our children will suffer. It's guaranteed. Some of them they're also going to suffer in their future marriages. How in the world would my daughters trust a guy if I walked out on my family? And yet that's like fine, according to the world. On a secular standpoint, and this is why it's interesting that people like Elon and Joe Rogan are saying we're underpopulated, we need to get married, we need to have kids, even though Elon's not getting married. He's just having kids with everybody he walks down the road with. But there is a secular statistical consequence for promoting this garbage that you should never get married.
Or even just postponing it till later in life, like
Till after COVID.
Or after a pandemic.
Like
That's
do
the end
everything
of the
you
world.
want to do, you know. In your
Forget you,
20s and
Grandma.
30s.
I don't care. You raised me. I can't make it. I can come in 6 weeks. Can you postpone it? No, I'm not being single another 6 weeks, you selfish wretch. Signed, Steve Carlin.
It's just boomers making it about themselves again.
Oh, I love it. I actually want, as we're closing this out, are we done? Oh, what can we do to promote marriage? Sorry about my rant. We can live a loving, holy marriage. We can promote marriage on social media. That's fun. I like the I love my wife t-shirts. I need to get one of those. Have you seen those? No. I think that's John, the producer John, is that an evangelical thing? I've seen those. There's some marriage retreat that Protestants do, and you get a shirt or a bumper sticker that says, I heart my wife. Oh, yeah. That's why we do it. Okay.
It's a lot better than the one in Wisconsin that says, I miss my wife, but my aim is getting better.
See? That's what you get from Mr. Anti-postponing. Can't postpone 6 weeks because you want all your other siblings to be there. Forget them. But yeah, the I Heart My Wife. Have y'all seen that?
I have not.
It's everywhere. I've seen it everywhere. I like it when it's like the 6'4", 250, like dude with all the tattoos, and he's just got like the I Heart My Wife like T-shirt. I was like, there we go.
I've seen the ones where you have like the pictures, like the collage of your wife.
I've seen that. I think that would creep Mary Lisa out.
Yeah, I've tempted to do it for fun.
Yeah, yeah. I've told y'all many times, and it's just funny, she keeps getting these chintzy gifts to me that say trophy husband. Like I have the trophy husband coffee cup. I also have the whatever, traveler carry thing. And then Mary Lisa has a coffee cup that says, my coffee is not as hot as my husband. Of course, she doesn't drink out of it that much, but she has the cup. Those kind of things, I think, are just fun, and we need to celebrate. Also, mentor young couples. If you're obviously not a crazy married couple, we had some weirdos try to mentor us. We're like, we're good. We'll risk it without your advice. Thank you.
Laura does this. She met some woman who's like new to the area. She got married at 19, 21 now, has a 2-year-old, adjusting the area, and Laura has her over for lunch with her child every Friday. They just spend time together.
Oh, Laura.
One of the most fun things, it's great, our parish does it, is they will have all of the engaged couples or seriously dating couples, and they'll do like a wine and cheese, and they'll have married couples that are like 10 or 15 years older. Because you don't want to listen to the people that have been married 60 years, like all the time, because there needs to be like some real like, where'd you live when you first got married and stuff. So it's all the people kind of 10 to 15 years older.
Do they have to be hot couples, Sean?
No. We've got ugly people that do it. And which, of course, I'm not part of, obviously, according to me. So it's so fun for the married couples because when you're married 5 years, you start preaching to people. There's been people on the internet that are like, I had a baby, now I'm writing a parenting book. And you're like, okay, great. But when you've been married 15 years or something, you're kind of over it. And you're like, this is the deal. And they love it. And it's interesting and encouraging, actually, how many people ask like good, practical financial questions, or if they're finishing school and going to medical school and, where people are coming from, but it's very, very practical. And we've done that for a long time. It's a lot of fun. And then afterwards, all the married people go on a date, which is kind of fun. But, yeah, I think that really, really helps. And to support our siblings and everybody we know in marriage, that's part of our commitment.
We should just talk about how great marriage is, too. I'm kind of counterculture on this. You'll hear people say, well, marriage is hard. I don't think marriage is hard. I think life is hard.
Yeah.
And marriage is part of life. Yep. And I love being married. I love spending time with my wife. It doesn't matter how much time we spend together. I'm still like, oh, man, we get a date on Monday. We get we have a car trip where we're together for 20 minutes. I'm just excited about it.
Me too. And it's funny. The kids laugh at Mary Lisa and I because I'll come up with these absurd, dumb jokes. and it's guaranteed Mary Lisa will laugh. Like, it's just, and they're like, stop, because I created this person around, or it's a turkey, gobble the turkey. And so as we get closer to Thanksgiving, I make up these dad jokes. One of them is actually great, because, we fry our turkeys. And so I say, the teenagers are like trying to jump out of the car. I'm like, what did the Carney family tell Gobble the turkey? And they're like, oh no. And I'm like, you'll love it at our house. You get your own hot tub. See? Got Ramona, because he goes in the oil. And they're like, stop. And Mary Lisa cracks up, right? So anyways, gobble jokes. They're coming. Thanksgiving will be here before you know it. Please send us, speaking of controversies, it's not Ramona going to the can. It's COVID weddings. I don't know where I stand. So send us your feedback if you were engaged in 2020 at any point. If you got engaged, how did the pandemic help or not help? Just send us some feedback on that. Podcast at 40daysforlife.com. Podcast at 40daysforlife.com. Happy marriage, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.